Hi, and welcome to archival episodes of Full Metal Mouse. The previous version of this show was a podcast called Radio DCP, DCP standing for Disney College Program, and I stopped doing the podcast for a few different reasons. Primarily that I couldn't do it every week or so it ended up being kind of a waste to spend the money. And it has good episodes and bad episodes. And I think the YouTube has worked out better. I think we've done pretty well with it so far. It's got a lot more energy. Still not quite sure if it's where I want it to be, but in any case, I figured there would be a few episodes of Radio DCP that I should preserve, and it was probably a handful. A lot of them were like news episodes, and there's no sense in keeping those. But so the episode that I'm about to post after this video is going to be it was the 25th episode. It was referred to as the biggest Marvel crossover ever. And basically, it was discussing Universal Studios' Islands of Adventure. And the idea is that I would get, I podcast with two of these people, so it wasn't that much of a crossover, but it would cross over different shows. So I got FLETCH Boogie, who is my podcasting partner was the BSI Comics podcast, which is now the BSI Comics Vodcast, because that's a YouTube channel as well. I got the RUM Guy from the Metal Hand of God podcast. So that's, obviously I'm on that show as well. And very entertaining show, very, very different from this. Totally not safe for work. In any case. And then lastly, but certainly not least, I got Hunter from the Unofficial Universal Orlando Podcast, an online friend of mine, and somebody who knows a lot more about Universal Studios than I do. So I think it was a really good episode, and I hope you'll check it out. It's a podcast, so it's probably like an hour and a half or something like that. But if you're sitting around, something to listen to, won't be a whole lot to look at because, again, it's a podcast. I'm just rambling now. You can check out the Metal Hand of God podcast at you can go to MHOGpodcast.com. I'm not sure, we were having some problem with links there. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, all that good stuff. You should find us on Facebook. We're also on the Grammygram, the Instagram, yeah, the Grammygram. We're on Twitter. Did I say Facebook? I meant to say Facebook. I think I said Facebook. I don't know. Anyway, you can find us on all that good stuff. You can find the BSI Comics Vodcast. That's video podcast. I hate that word. I don't know if I've said it on this show. I hate that word. Somebody needs to come up with something better than that. Anyway, you can find that on YouTube. You can find, Hunter, Unofficial Universal Orlando Podcast. I know they're on iTunes and Stitcher. iTunes, obviously. Good. Stitcher. Not sure what else, but if you don't use iTunes, your local podcasting app. Oh, they're on Google Play. I think we're supposed to be on Google Play, not this, but Metal Hand of God Podcast. I think we're supposed to be on Google Play. I don't know if we're on Google Play. We applied to shit. We applied to fucking Spotify. Fuck Spotify. They said no. Fuck them. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this episode. I think it's a really fun episode. If you love Marvel, be it the comics, the movies, or whatever, particularly the theme parks, because this is actually about the theme parks, you should listen to this episode. And you should listen to all the shows I mentioned. If you're a fan of Universal Studios, you should absolutely listen to Unofficial Universal Orlando Podcast, because they know their shit. They know their shit. I guess that's about it. Metal Hand of God. BSI Comics Podcast, Full Metal Mouse. Anyway, so listen to this episode. Bye.
Do it.
All right. Oh man, should I go with "And we're back"?
No, don't do that.
No, there's no "And we're back." All right. Hello, my name is Adam, or Cuddle Bear, or any of the many names that I have on the many podcasts that I have. Whatever, Fletch Boogie. Anyway, you're listening to a very special crossover episode of technically a bunch of podcasts. So, as most people know, I have 3 podcasts at any given time, and I've mulled over adding a 4th one, believe it or not. It's so far not happening, but, so I am a big Disney nut, which is why the Rum Guy and I started Radio DCP.
Hi.
So, well, actually, yeah, let me introduce y'all. So first of all, this is a crossover episode. I'll be here representing Radio DCP, and the Rum Guy will be here representing MHOG. Say hello, Rum.
Hey.
Okay. Fletch Boogie will be here representing the BSI Comics Podcast.
Hello.
And from the distant shores of Orlando, we have Hunter Smith of the Unofficial Universal Orlando Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? I appreciate that applause. This is our big summer crossover episode, apparently.
That wasn't applause. Rum was twerking.
Okay.
I
do that when I'm happy.
He's got a hell of a thunderclap on him.
I do.
So, now, since part of this is going on the BSI Comics Podcast, I do want to warn the audience that while there's no intent to go on any sort of filthy tirade, that generally speaking for Radio DCP, we're free to say whatever we want, making us roughly PG-13. I have no intention of editing out curse words, so be forewarned, just in case.
I can curb it.
Yeah. Well, you usually only curse when you're talking about, Malaysians and Mr. Rogers.
Well, enough said, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But, so we're actually going to talk a little about Marvel Superhero Island, one of the cornerstones, not only of theme parks in general, but certainly of Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. And, I thought it would be an excellent topic because we're all everyone on here is a theme park fan.
Yes.
And, most of us, well, to some degree or another, we're all comic book fans.
I do. I like the pictures.
So, let's see. So, I thought we'll talk a little bit about the formation of Marvel Superhero Island. Islands of Adventure, as I understand it, was opened full on in May of 1999. Did I add an extra 9 in there?
You did. It was a very long year.
Yeah. I was really into Prince. So, 1999. Anyway. So it opened, and originally, and I'll defer to Hunter because you know way more about Universal than I do. Originally, it was supposed to be a Warner Brothers attraction, like DC Comics.
That's actually correct. So originally when the plans were being drawn up in 1991, which was a year after the original opening of Universal Studios, it was supposed to be Warner Brothers focused. So have we all been to Islands of Adventure?
Absolutely.
Yes. Real quick. Okay. So you know that first entry section, which is port of entry, right? Right before you hit the lagoon that is in the center of the park. So over to your left, if I'm getting this correct, was supposed to be the Gotham section of the park, and over to the right was supposed to be Metropolis.
Oh.
So that a lot of ties to Warner Brothers. There was a huge focus on the Looney Tunes characters and everything like that. But that was very, very early planning, and that did not come to fruition. However, you guys can find some concept artwork if you look online.
Neat.
That would have been pretty cool, though.
I think I would have liked that.
Well, especially now.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Well, eventually, I didn't realize it had been 8 years between. Well, I guess that makes sense. If you ended up, and I know it wasn't fully intended to be a full theme park at the time, but you know, it takes quite a while to build an entire park.
Mm-hmm.
Well, usually, I guess Universal at this point.
You get concept, you know, and then you'd have to plan it out, and you'd have to get permits, and you'd have to get more concept art and figure out where things going to. It would take a while.
Yeah. Well, I guess for this next one, Universal's not, though. Isn't it like, it's either 2018 or 2019, I guess?
For Volcano Bay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit different because it's a water park. I mean, how long did it take Disney to put up, like, Typhoon Lagoon or Blizzard Beach, though?
I actually don't know. It was built when I went for the first time. Rum was there.
I think it actually took about... For Typhoon Lagoon, I don't know what the concept stage was, but for building, I think it took about 4.5 months.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Volcano Bay is going to go up pretty quickly, and given Universal's track record of just putting up stuff as quick as possible recently, that's going to go up very, very quickly.
Well, I hope they do something cool with the volcano, because I hope they don't just go to like flip through the mini putt catalog and go, oh look, there's the volcano right next to the pirate ship. Let's get this volcano.
They're not
just a little smoke that comes out the top.
Just puffs.
They're not going to sacrifice a virgin for you, Rom.
Oh, they should. They should. That should be like every other Tuesday.
That can be their 3:00 event or whatever.
Nice. Yeah.
It's a parade. They'll lead the Virgin through the pathways.
Kind of like over at the Holy Land when they do the burning of the bush every hour on the hour.
Hey, we're not going into that hard R.
Man, that was a trip.
But yeah, so it took, I guess, 8 years according your rough math, and eventually Marvel Superhero Island sort of became the cornerstone of well, I guess that and Jurassic Park are sort of the cornerstone.
That's a tough call because Jurassic Park was extremely huge at the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, the difference being that there already was a Jurassic Park area for Universal previously over at in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Whereas Marvel Superhero Island at the time there was no other, like, I know they have other versions in some of the other parks or something like that.
After Jurassic Park came out in 1993, Steven Spielberg originally signed on. He's always been kind of like a creative guide for the Universal parks, and that's just worldwide. So after that came out and they saw the success that the attraction was having out in Hollywood, the original plan was to kind of transplant that ride and put it over in the studios. But after it came out that they were going to be building this whole another theme park, hey, Jurassic Park, we're going to make that the big land. So that's when you walk in, you're going to see Jurassic Park straight ahead of you. And, it became a focal point for that park.
Right. It's built, they built around that quite well. Mm-hmm. They really could have done something better with it, though.
They could have, and that goes into the whole Jeep tour that was originally planned and everything like that.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
We've talked about it a few times, not to plug my own show or anything, but Islands of Adventure was kind of, it wasn't really released in a totally complete state just because they essentially ran out of money. They couldn't fund any more of it at the time.
And after all these years.
Well, Rum and I
figured it out.
Rum and I were just talking about this on the last episode, which I guess we recorded a week ago. Like, now the Jurassic World is, I mean, literally, Jurassic World has been, 3 weeks now at number 1, and it overtook a Pixar film.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's not a small feat.
No, it's not. It's like a 14.
So
maybe
they've got to be thinking now about, well, I guess if they were going to expand it, they'd have to pretty much tear down like the Pterodon Flyers or something like that.
Please, get rid of that. I can't even ride it. That's useless to me.
Just steal a kid.
I didn't know they had an age limit on that.
Yeah, you have to have a kid. I mean, that's the only rule. You can't come on here unless you have a child. I'm like, really? Really? That seems creepy. I don't have kids. Can I just ride it?
But you do have a white van.
I don't have a white van. Wayne had the white van.
All the Brazilian tourists that get lost in that park every single day.
But I've never been on it. I've always wanted to go. So I just stare at it. And every time I go up to them and say, hey, can I get on that? Do you have a kid? Are we going to do this again? And they're like, what, we've talked before? It's like every time I'm here.
You can't just kind of walk on with a family, pretend like you're with them, like, hey,
Uncle
Rum.
I've tried that.
I just see you standing longingly in the distance, staring at it.
I've actually pretended I was deaf.
You know what they could probably do, since those gyroscope vehicles feature into the movie, they could probably do some sort of virtual Jurassic Park tour with little gyroscope vehicles as the ride system.
That would be pretty
awesome.
cool.
As it is right now, if I ever qualify for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, that will be my wish, to ride that ride.
Pteranodon Flyers.
That's it. That's my only wish.
Man.
I don't know if they let 60-year-old kids into.
I'm not 60, you tar.
Right.
I think I have to cut that joke out. I'm not sure.
I thought he was going for an Ice Age type thing. Tar. Okay.
Oh man. So let's we'll start with Hunter and then go to Fletch and then circle around to me. What was y'all's first times going to Universal and experiencing Marvel Superhero Island?
Okay, so it's kind of funny that we're doing this podcast because pretty much 10 years ago, give or take about 2 months, was my first experience just at Universal in general. So this was 2005. I remember it quite fondly because The Mummy had just opened up in that time period. I do remember this because growing up, I was quite a big chicken. I wouldn't ride anything. So I did find a lot of solace in Superhero Island because I had such an affinity and attachment to these characters. And I probably rode The Amazing Spider-Man 30 times because that was the only thing I would actually get on because it was a simulator attraction.
It's cool. That was a cool ride.
Absolutely. Still is.
Yeah, it still is a cool ride.
Fletch?
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know if you were done. I've actually only been to Universal once. I'll be going back this October.
For shame.
I'm sorry.
Well, Rum also hasn't experienced Wizarding World either, so.
Yes, I have.
Wait. Oh,
I've been
right.
to Wizarding World.
You haven't been to Diagon Alley.
That's the only one I haven't been to is Diagon Alley.
Yeah, that's the only reason we went. My wife is a huge Harry Potter fan, so we went primarily for that. But I was more interested in the comic book side. The only thing I remember is wishing it was updated a little bit more. It seemed like they had kind of made it, and it's forever stayed in that sort of 90s, late 90s state. Yeah.
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 But the Spider-Man ride was awesome.
Yeah, we had talked about this before, Adam and I, but pretty much exactly what you just said. It just seems like, and it's the superheroes, and it's not modernized at all.
No.
I mean,
right.
even though it was made in the 90s, these are the versions of the superheroes from the 80s.
And it's bizarre with them, gaining so much popularity in the last 10 or 15 years. just
Yeah.
the exponential growth of those characters, and having that in your lap already, it just seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah, I really, if anything, I would just like to see them freshen it up a bit more. Give it a bit more pop. Maybe, like we've said, get rid of the storm ride.
Right.
Or
We'll get into that in just a couple minutes. But what was your first time, Ron?
My first time
Yeah.
was, when was it? Second year it opened.
Okay.
Did
they have all the attractions at the time?
No, well, I always have this great luck. Every time I go to a park, half of everything is closed.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where it was like, it's closed. Oh, let me run it. Oh, it's closed.
Well, they know you're a dangerous man, and so they say you come
Actually, the first time I went, Spider-Man was closed.
Oh.
And I was like, oh no. What? What am I going to do over here? Well, I can eat pizza, and I can buy an overpriced comic book. This is awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
That's one of my biggest letdowns is the comic shop there.
I agree. I look, and I say this every time we bring up Marvel Superhero Island. If anyone at Universal is listening to me, I will change that store. I will make it profitable. I promise you. You have serious inventory problems. This is I've often joked that they have those Travel Channel shows where like the guy goes to hotels and tells them what they're doing wrong and fixes it.
Yeah.
I know this would never happen because no one cares about this but me, but I always thought it would be kind of cool to film a show where I go to comic book stores and help them fix their business model.
You can make a fake one. I'll just follow you around the camera and you just walk into random shops going, would you like to be on Comic Book Shop Impossible? Be like, sure. It's like, great, I'm going to restructure your business. Let's do this.
And then secretly there would be a film crew behind us documenting it, the actual movies about delusional nerds who think people care with them.
It's just you guys going to random comic book stores across the nation setting fire to every piece of Deadpool merchandise you can find.
No, Rum steals them.
I do.
Okay. All right.
He doesn't know who Deadpool is. He just
I do. I love Deadpool. Deadpool's awesome.
My first time going to, obviously my first time going to Islands of Adventure is the same first time as Marvel Superhero Island. And I was in the Disney College program. It was 2002. And my best friend Josh had been kicked out of the Disney College program. If he's listening, sorry to bring it up, but it makes me laugh. So
have a magical day, Josh.
No, but he came back in town like a couple weeks later, and he only had a couple days, so I took off from the college program. And what's funny was when we did traditions, they told us, look, if you're going to be sick, it's easier to schedule somebody in advance. So if you're going to be calling in for one day, just take 2 days. And I was like, that's a strange policy. But since he was in town for 2 days, I called in and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be out for the next 2 days. And the manager was pissed. And I was like, what? They told me to do that. But, so we drove out and, he wanted to check out Islands of Adventure and, specifically Universal Studios. I didn't care. I was like, sure. Like, well, I don't know why we'd go to that place, but yeah, let's go check it out. And of course I was blown away. And, I like the rest of y'all. I mean, Amazing Spider-Man has kind of remained over the last 13 years my favorite ride, pretty much out of anything that's ever been built, despite its dated nature. But the main thing I remember is that I almost punched an old woman on Doom's Fearfall. And so I'll go ahead and tell that story.
What an appropriate ride to punch an old woman on.
Well, here's the thing. I am incredibly afraid of heights. And people who are afraid of heights are actually afraid of falling. So therefore,
you picked the right ride to go on.
Exactly. Well,
were you trying to conquer your fear that day?
No. Well, my intention was to walk with my friends. There were 4 of us, and I was going to walk with them, and then get off at the end of the queue. Mm-hmm. So we're walking through, and we're having a good time because it was a busy day. It was a busy time of year, and we're having a good time. And then we get to the little load on point. And there was an old woman working as a cast member there, or whatever Universal staff member. I don't remember what they're called. Hunter.
Goonies.
Hunter, what do they call there? Are they call cast members there?
At Universal?
Yeah.
Team members.
Team members, there you go.
I call them unis.
I call them you're not as good as cast members.
So there was an old lady team member, and my friends were getting on, and she points to one of the seats, and she goes, "You go there." And I was like, "Oh, well, thank you, ma'am, but I'm not." She was like, "You go sit over there." And I said, "Well, ma'am, I understand, but I'm afraid." And she goes, "You go sit over there," and she starts yelling at me. And I had a moment where I was like, okay, I'm 22. If I punch this old woman, she dies and I go to jail. Or I get on something that is literally and figuratively the height of all my fears. I'm leaning towards killing her, but I guess...
Blame it on the Doom bots.
Yeah. So yeah, I got on Dr. Doom's Fearfall. And that's really one of the only things I remember from that day. But I never rode Fearfall.
See, Fearfall
you blacked out afterwards.
Is the same as a ride that I grew up with at an amusement park up where I grew up. It was called the Demon Drop, and it was the same thing. It was pretty much that's why I was like, oh, I thought this was going to be something different. It's the Demon Drop, and everybody's like, what are you talking about, the Demon Drop? And it's like, yeah, it's Kennywood's got the Demon Drop.
The thing about Marvel Superhero Island is, for a good many years, I was so totally impressed with that area, even to the point where when Disney got it, I was kind of worried that they would take away these things. But I'm in a weird place as far as that area now, because first of all, you have Stormforce Accelerator, which is essentially the teacup ride from Disney, and then you have Fearfall, which is... It's not, I don't know to say it's standard theme park fare.
Most inappropriately named ride ever.
What?
Storm Force Accelerator. Like, it's not, it sounds like really cool, but it's not.
Actually, it's not the teacup. It's actually modeled after the old ride, the Whip. Are you familiar with the Whip?
No.
It used to be at every fair and every carnival ever.
Well, no, because you turn it yourself. The one you're talking about spins itself, doesn't it?
No, the one you turn yourself is Tilt-A-Whirl.
Okay. All right. Well, either way, they're pretty ordinary rides.
Yeah, they're ordinary.
And then you look at so really all they have is Amazing Spider-Man.
I feel like we're harshing on Universal right now.
No, just being honest. All they have is Amazing Spider-Man, and of course, like one of the most well-known and well-loved roller coasters anywhere around, Incredible Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else is kind of like, there's a few really cool comic book nods for fans. There is a comic book store, even with their inventory problems.
You know what I call the Incredible Hulk?
I can't imagine.
I call it the $50 bill. You want to know why?
No.
Because that's what it costs every time I come back from riding that damn thing when I go see a chiropractor.
That might be the worst joke
ride,
I've ever
man.
told.
Well, I'm just saying. It's not a joke. That's what I call it. It's a $50 bill.
Well, then why would you ride it?
Because you got to ride it.
Also, what kind of chiropractor only costs $50?
He's got a really cool van.
The happy endings.
Is it down by the river?
I think you bought that, did you?
Yeah, I guess I did. Yeah,
Just see this big Hagrid-looking fellow leading him into his little chiropractic office.
He's got the Marshmallow Circus peanuts. Hey, you want a peanut? Have a peanut.
I feel bad for Stormforce because it doesn't even benefit from theming. It was just one of those things where they're like, hey, we need another ride. Let's just drop this teacup clone. Yeah. At least Fearfall has, the queue is pretty cool. I mean, you've got the Doom bots, you've got the impressions and the concrete and everything like that. You actually get to see Doom's throne at the end of the ride. There's a lot of cool stuff, but it is just a traditional, we're going to pick you up and then drop you back down at the end of it.
I want to say the queues are what I think Universal is really great at. I mean, just think of when you're walking through Spider-Man. That whole thing, you're going through the newsroom.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I
but
like
then
it
on the
in
other
the cartoon.
Yeah, and it's really, that was another thing I was going to bring up when we were talking about the theming. They haven't really changed it because it still is so heavily based kind of on those Marvel early 90s animated series with the X-Men and everything like that.
It's totally based on, I mean, like that is the same actor, playing Spider-Man. It's the same animation from the, I guess it was 95 cartoon, or maybe, no, probably.
No, it was earlier than that.
93, 92.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, and as Fletch and I have talked about, there's a very successful Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon on right now. And I can't imagine it would cost that much to, like, update, if nothing else, just the animation for the queue.
$1 billion.
The thing that got me is when they did the big 4K upgrade, is they updated all the costumes. Like Doc Ock is now in his Amazing Spider-Man 2, or pardon me, he's in his Spider-Man 2 costume.
Right.
With the trench coat and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual Q video is still that traditional 90s animated Spider-Man.
Green.
I never even noticed that.
Doc Ock.
That's true.
What'd you say, Fletch?
I was saying the old green Doc Ock with the bowl haircut.
Oh,
yeah.
The Elton John Doc Ock?
Yes.
Poor Elton John.
I mean, does he not look like Elton John?
He does have a little bit of Elton John.
He even has a gap between his teeth. It's freaky.
No, like you said, we're hating. We're not really hating. It's just, I think we all genuinely like the properties. We just like to see a little updating.
A little TLC, yeah.
Now it's not nearly as bad as its neighbor with
Toon Lagoon?
Toon Lagoon. Toon Lagoon's in a sorry state, and it has been for the past couple years. But
that is crap.
Well, Rum and I were talking about this not long ago. When you really think about it, newspaper strips are almost obsolete. They still exist, but newspapers are almost obsolete. And it's not like nobody's reading Kathy these days, you know. And I actually really love some of those comic strips that those are based on, but you have a whole theme park that's now like 2 generations past anyone remembering it.
Yeah,
not a whole theme park, but a whole section of land.
Yeah.
Well, even
then,
then,
last time we went, it was just kids asking who is that, and the parents are like trying to explain the character. It's constantly what I was hearing walking around.
Sure.
And the kid turned to the parents and said, "You actually used to read that crap?"
Yeah.
They must have just got an incredible deal on those characters, because I can't imagine why they would pick, you know, those sorts of characters over people like, I don't know, like somebody who still has recognition, like the Peanuts characters, or Calvin and Hobbes, or Garfield, or any of those kind of comic strip characters.
If they did Calvin and Hobbes, they would have done great. I mean, so many people love that, you know.
That's what I'm saying. Even though like new strips,
no.
But even though these new strips are gone, I think a lot of those characters are still around. Just unfortunately, not the characters they have in that land. Yeah. Maybe besides Popeye.
Right.
Yeah, Popeye. Even Beetle Bailey, no one knows him. I mean, he's how many wars past now?
I was never clear on what war he was fighting in the beginning.
I think actually Beetle Bailey came out in the Korean War.
I always thought he was a Vietnam character.
No, he wasn't Nam.
Okay.
It's just bizarre that a theme park, you know, aimed at families would throw these characters out there and clearly alienate most of the audience.
Well, actually,
kids need a little alienation. I think they do. They'll toughen them up.
I actually think that is the reason that they put that there, because like if you look at both Toon Lagoon and Dr. Seuss, for the good and bad of either one of them, they don't really fit into the idea of Islands of Adventure. I mean, the best you can say for Seuss Land is that it's an adventure of the imagination, but they don't really. And look, I'm not totally trying to bash those, but they don't really fit in. Like Popeye kind of does, but that's about it. And so I figured the reason those are there is so that they don't have, for lack of a better word, an Epcot situation where you view Islands of Adventure as solely an adult park, and Universal Studios is where you go if you have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know, what Hunter, what is your thoughts on Seuss Land, though?
See, I'm pretty easygoing on Seuss Landing, but that's just because my girlfriend, who I've been with for a good period of time now, is very, very fond of the Dr. Seuss characters. I think with a little bit of TLC, that land can become excellent. Like, they've been talking about putting in a Mount Crumpet Grinch-style attraction for a long time now, which is going to be kind of like a family coaster.
Cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I just think they could do more stuff with it. Like, there's a lot of issues. Cat in the Hat doesn't spin anymore, and
it made
a lot of the
sick.
rides are just well, and they've had a lot of issues with cameras and all sorts of stuff. But
well, you also have the issue now that there's a very important exit for Islands of Adventure going to Universal Studios that if you're going clockwise, you can just pass up Seuss Land altogether these days as long as you have a 2-part pass. And so if they don't kind of spruce that area up, there's going to be a lot of people like, look, I don't even go through it. I just get on the Hogwarts Express when I'm there and, go do what I really want to do.
I just never got into Seuss, I guess, when I was a kid. The only time I ever saw Dr. Seuss books was at the dentist's office. Mm-hmm. Sitting there and we're like, well, I'm going to associate this with the dentist. This is great. Nice.
These are my favorite things.
Right here.
But I do think they kind of have, at least they don't have the same issue that they do with Toon Lagoon. Those Dr. Seuss characters I do think are very,
Absolutely.
A lot of kids do form an attachment with those characters.
Sure, they're iconic.
Yeah, they're iconic, exactly.
I mean, really, when you get down to it, like everybody's read Green Eggs and Ham, but can you point out a specific, even with something like Calvin and Hobbes, can you really point out a specific story? There's not a lot to latch
Ham,
onto.
I could point out the story of Green Eggs and Ham.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Whereas opposed to like the stuff in Toon Lagoon, there's not.
Yeah.
There's not a specific story in your head that you kind of like. Oh yeah, I loved it when, I don't know, Kathy got exasperated at work or whatever.
Keep going to Kathy. I find it hysterical.
He's got this thing with Kathy. I don't know what it is.
You act as if I always bring up Kathy.
You do. I mean, it's just crazy.
Sometimes I don't think it's, so I'll use this analogy real quick. Sometimes I don't think it's about the story that you associate with that character. It's just being able to interact with that character. So, for instance, the example I'm going to give is Forbidden Journey. So we've talked about it several times. Really has no coherent narrative whatsoever. It plays out as a greatest hits album,
Right.
Oh, here's the spiders, here's the dragon, here's the Dementors. I think it's more you form your own adventure type thing, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, I got you when you say greatest hits. That makes sense.
Well, it was also, at the time, they didn't know for a fact that they would build Diagon Alley or anything like that. So if you're only going to have one, of course you want to
cover
give people, you hit all the bases and you give people something that they'll keep coming back for.
Absolutely.
You know what else? I'm sorry, go ahead.
And to their credit, when they did do Escape from Gringotts with Diagon Alley, they did focus on having a very specific narrative.
Right, which for some reason some people didn't like. I never understood that, though.
Yeah, I don't get that either. I think that's amazing. I've only actually been on the ride POV online.
Which one, Escape from Gringotts?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Well, I wanted to see what it was like.
Dude, you're 5 hours away. You could have just...
Dude, I'm a busy man. I got busy man things to do. I
know. You
jump in the car and drive 5 hours.
Diners.
Yeah. You know who I blame?
Listen to the next MHOG podcast, folks.
You know who I blame, Adam?
Me or Obama?
Kathy.
Okay.
Damn it, Kathy.
Yeah. I was rooting for Obama in that one, but well, Universal's been putting a lot of money into fixing things up, and it seems like they're starting to, or we're starting to see a pattern where they're going to go, Islands of Adventure for this run, which in this case is Skull Island, and then they'll go to Universal, and then they'll probably go back. And I know from listening to UUOP that Lee is under the impression that Marvel Super Island is going to get a major refurbishment soon.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I've been there. I don't know how recently Hunter's been there. I know how recently y'all have, but the last time I was there, which was in May, I did notice that they'd opened up a couple of shops. They sort of expanded their merchandising, and now Captain America has a little quick service.
Mm-hmm. The last time I was actually there was in May as well. Okay.
So I'm wondering, if that turns out to be true, I'm wondering if because the Captain America thing is sort of superfluous because the pretty bland Fantastic Four Cafe, whatever it's called, is, it's essentially it covers the same amount of ground. It's just that one serves pizza and the other doesn't, as far as I know. So I'm wondering if that is a sign that one of the first things that's going to come out is the Fantastic Four Cafe.
I could see that. And what would Captain America be? I mean, what's his thing? Is it just all food, like a little food thing like that?
Yeah, it's just a little quick service area right before you head towards before the Superhero Island ends and you're heading towards Toon Lagoon.
I'm trying to keep this clean. I got so many bad things going through my head right now.
Go for it. I don't care.
No, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going back to Captain America Quick Service, and it was just, never mind. It was funny.
The whole, like, I don't know which word I'm trying to use, but how all the things connect together with, Disney owning Marvel, but the characters are still there, and then the movies are disconnected, like the Fantastic Four movies over here, the X-Men movies over here.
It is confusing.
Well,
it's just weird what they can or can't do.
Yeah.
Well, that disconnect doesn't really affect Universal. They just have the general rights to use those characters as long as.
Well, I think that's crap.
In this case, I guess it would technically be Disney, but originally, like, Marvel has to approve the plans.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie rights are completely separate from the theme park rights.
However, from what I understand in that contract that they signed, Disney does have final say because it is their product over the quality of that land and the attractions within it. If something is not up to a Disney quality, they do have the right to shut down anything within that.
So do you think maybe Disney is like, oh no, we're going to squash this part of their park?
I don't think they need to. I think it's here to stay for the time being. I don't think it's I don't think it's at the top of their priority list. I mean, they do have Marvel attractions coming to Hong Kong, and I believe Disneyland Paris is going to get it next.
Well, there are some rumors because right now Disneyland in Hollywood has I guess you would call it a bid out to, or a plan proposed to Orange County, that if they agree to not tax ticket sales for the next 30 years, they're going to put out this $1 billion like expansion, and so the rumors naturally lead to, since Disney completely owns any West Coast usage of those characters, that there will be Marvel attractions at Disneyland, and of course Star Wars is expanding as well, so we could see that.
We've already seen a lot of that in the Disneyland attraction. We've had, I believe it started with the Captain America meet and greet, and then we had Thor, and now we have, Ant-Man's going out in Paris, but then we had the Iron Man experience, which was in their Innovations plaza for a while. So I believe in the contract it said anything west of the Mississippi River was fair game. They just can't do anything in their Orlando territory.
Right.
That's just crazy to me that there can be so many loopholes. Like, okay, you have the rights to use this character, but only in this fashion and only during this time. And
it can only look like the character from 1976.
Actually, right. The weirdest one to me, I mean, I don't know if this is true, so I don't need any emails telling me I'm an idiot. But from what I understand, the reason that I get enough from you, yeah. The reason that there is a comic book store in that section is because it's a requirement as part of the contract.
I would believe that.
I don't know if it's true, but if you think about it, well, it does, because if you think about it, like, who's going to a theme park and buying a comic book?
I mean, I guess in a way you're buying the origin of that area, really. If you think about in a weird way, like, all those characters are from comic books. So,
right, but if you, like, I'm talking about in terms of, like, you're walking around.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't want your kid. So why, if it's just there for the merchandising, to me it makes more sense to put that out in a city walk where you're waiting for a restaurant or something.
Yeah, I'd rather see actually a museum. You know how, like, they do the I know this is a really poor example. You know how they do the I Love Lucy thing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like the history of I Love Lucy and that sort of thing. Well, why couldn't you have done that for that area? Like, this is how it all began type of thing. Because some people who don't know comics, would go in there and be like, oh, what is this all about?
Mm-hmm. My guess is that, like, I think one of the biggest problems with Marvel Superhero Island is that there's a graphic misuse of space.
Oh, for real, yeah.
So I would guess that even if they had that idea, at this point, you definitely have to tear something down to put that up. And, considering you're talking about, 1962 to 2015, what is that, 40 plus years? No, or are we at 50? No, that's over 50. So you're talking about 50 years of history, that you can't just cram that into a broom closet,
Well, that should be a ride.
The history of Marvel?
The history of Marvel should be a ride, I think. I think that would be a really cool ride. Just to, one of those, it's not like a crazy coaster ride. It's just like you get in the
Space Station Earth?
Yeah, you just jump in the car and it's going slow and it's...
I was thinking of like a great movie ride style attraction.
Yeah.
That would be very cool.
I think that would be such a nice addition to that area, I think that would really define it a bit more,
I think what they're doing with Marvel, which I haven't heard anything about this, but, at least the impression I've gotten is that land is it's supposed to be a very high energy experience. I mean, if you're just listening to the background music and you're constantly hearing the Hulk in the background, and then what was the major e-ticket attraction was the Amazing Spider-Man. They're very focused on kind of that thrill element.
Right.
So to kind of put like a slow-moving attraction in there, I just wonder if that means, two conflicting ideas there.
Oh, I don't know.
That's a good point.
Yeah, if they put it as like a museum format, though, where you, like backlot tour, kind of, like, at the end when you can kind of walk around, they have all the different like props and stuff, that would be cool.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely. You can kind of do it at your own pace, but
I just think something like that as an addition would be well received.
I agree with you, but I see more because Disney has the movie rights now. I see them more doing that with kind of like a Chronicles of Narnia style experience they had in the studios a couple years back.
Yeah. Right.
I see them doing something like that with Marvel, at least in Disneyland.
Yeah. I think the most glaringly bizarre part of Marvel Superhero Island, especially if you think back to when this thing was created, the 90s were the height of the X-Men. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was at least 5 books at any given time. You had a super successful cartoon that ended not long before the Islands of Adventure debuted, and certainly
was the movie 99 or 2000.
I think that was 2000.
2000. Okay.
But in any case, like you're talking about, like the most popular. I mean, look, they were more popular than Spider-Man at the time. They were more popular than Batman, and yet, like, Stormforce Accelerator is the only real, aside from the Adam Kubert, I don't know what you call them, murals or cutouts that are all over the place. The only real representation is Stormforce Acceleration, and like, look, they're forcing Hugh Jackman into movies that he has no business being in simply because Wolverine is the second most popular superhero character of all time. So it's very interesting that it just seems kind of glaring to me that they never really did anything with the X-Men property.
Oh, you mean in that section itself?
Well, just in general, Universal, like that, all they have is Storm.
No, they have that amazing, that live action thing where they roll in on the Can-Ams. I mean, that just draws you in.
You're right.
Best part of the day, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've got my picture taken with, like, Wolverine and, in the car that doesn't move.
You know why that little parade sucks? Because they didn't build the Spider-Mobile.
They didn't.
The buggy? The Dune buggy?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Derek, a friend of ours, actually drew that, and he has the pages, but he wouldn't sell them to me.
Wait, he drew the Spider-Mobile?
Yeah, the Spider Buggy.
Okay.
That would be awesome.
He's referring to Derek Donovan, who's worked on a lot of different stuff for both Marvel and DC. He's been around the way. He actually, I apologize to anyone who is less familiar with the comics than Disney and Universal, but there's a very famous incident called refrigeratoring, in which a Green Lantern's girlfriend was murdered and shoved into a refrigerator. And he's most infamous for having been the artist on that.
Nice.
I just like telling that story.
It's a heartwarming tale.
Coming back to what you were kind of saying, though, it's
probably wrong words after what I just said, but
yeah, Frozen.
Yeah, it's just having these characters and not capitalizing on what they have has always been bizarre to me. Like, when you go there, it just seems like you should expect so much more.
I I think we're all in agreement here. We would have rather seen less islands with the initial inception and seeing Superhero Island kind of expand out into that Toon Lagoon area.
Right.
You could have done a lot more with that.
But
no,
that's
just
more in hindsight.
It is, but I think the original developers or Universal's creative team had a lot of plans that didn't come to fruition. So you guys know about, so the Incredible Hulk, that was originally not going to be the coaster that was in that island. Does anybody know what it was?
No.
I used to know this.
It was a Silver Surfer attraction.
Yes.
And it was themed to a showdown with him and Galactus. So it was going to be kind of that big outdoor roller coaster and everything like that. But at the end, you would actually go inside of a dome, and you would have this big battle with a giant audio animatronic Galactus. And that was going to be the original attraction.
That is everything I never knew I always wanted.
Same.
Yeah.
See, what happened to that?
Money.
I'm okay with that, for sure.
Yeah, money's the obvious. I mean, this probably wouldn't have been part of the designs, but I'm envisioning a giant Galactus statue as part of the island.
Oh, I think if you look at that coaster now, it would make more sense as a Silver Surfer ride.
Yeah, certainly.
I mean,
it's
every time
almost
I'm on
like
I'm wondering why in the world is the Hulk a coaster?
Well, you're also standing on that ride, essentially. Like, it's a very specific ride design, so I can easily see that was meant to be a surfboard.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Fletch, make a call. Get that done.
What?
Make it happen.
I have no pull in that. That had been done years ago.
No,
but seriously, you're saying it's all in hindsight, but it's been open long enough for them to be like, wow, these, we have a pretty gem of a property here. We could probably really turn the volume up to 11.
But the amount of money that's coming into Universal now, they didn't have that 10 years ago.
No, but they do now. They
do
could
now,
actually,
is what I'm saying.
They could when Volcano, was it Volcano Bay? Is that what it's going to be called?
Yeah.
And when that opens up, they could actually shut a portion of that down. It's like, we're closing this island down. We're redoing this island. That would make perfect sense. It's there.
I don't know what you said. Wait, what?
Well, when they open the one, so they're not losing money by closing one of the sections. They're opening something new. So you're going to have a big influx of cash going into there.
Right.
They can afford to close down one section to redo it. You know what I'm saying? They're not losing anything on paper.
I honestly, if they start tearing up sections of it, I would guess that they're going to do it like one ride area at a time. I don't think you'll see a major portion of Marvel Superhero Island shut down.
I just shut it all down. Shut it down. Fix it.
Redo it.
No, I used to be when Disney first got hold of the Marvel characters and bought that whatever you want to call it, that company. I thought, part of me did not want those rides to go away, but then I was all excited and was like, well, yeah, but what would Disney do with it and all that? And I'm at the point now where I'm kind of glad that Disney isn't getting them, just because they're putting way more thought into like bathroom designs than they are into rides. I mean, it's sad, but it's true. Like Little Mermaid.
Let us enhance your pee experience. Welcome to Disney.
The bathrooms in New Fantasyland are excellent. Let's get that out of the way. I've never pissed more peacefully.
Hey, look, I didn't know that I always wanted to pee in a tower, but I do, and I'm disappointed that I don't have one in my house.
Here's your Rapunzel section. Stop complaining.
I was just thinking Rapunzel.
Oh.
But what are you going to toss down? That's what I'm.
No, but they put way more thought into that than they did into the Little Mermaid ride. That's the worst thing Disney's ever done by a large margin.
That was very disappointing. That was a very disappointing wait in line.
I'll raise you. When's the most recent visit you guys have been to the Little Mermaid attraction?
Last year around this time.
I think it's the same for me.
Okay. The actual under the sea section of that, I know we're getting off topic, but the under the sea section where it used to have just kind of like the stage lighting and everything like that, they did put that up in black light recently, and it looks a lot better now.
Well, my problem with it is essentially that it's, Disney's known and sort of created the idea of every section of everything they do should tell a story, even the restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
if you ride Little Mermaid, if you've never seen that movie,
Yeah.
there is no cohesion to that. It's like you were talking about the Harry Potter, Forbidden Journey is the greatest hits. That's what Little Mermaid is, but that greatest hits for Forbidden Journey feels like you're going through a mini story.
Yeah.
Little Mermaid, it's just like, look, there's frogs singing. Now there's a giant, horrible octopus woman.
To be fair, like, who's at a Disney park and hasn't seen Little Mermaid?
Little kids.
Yeah.
I guarantee you there's a percentage of little children who've never seen that movie.
It's
Actually,
like 1%.
I've actually never seen the movie the whole way through.
Really?
No, I have not.
Well, you were 40 when that movie came out.
I'm going to stab you with a sharp stick.
With a popsicle stick.
With a dinglehopper?
Popsicle stick of doom.
But then
stab him with a dinglehopper?
But then where would you stay this weekend when you're in New Orleans for our live podcast?
Oh, well, at least your room would be empty.
I'm going to pee on everything just in case you try to kill me. And then you'll sleep and pee.
Sleep. Wouldn't be the first time.
Probably true. Moving on. So, again, aside from Rome, we're all like major comic book fans. So, if you had to pick an out there Marvel character to have an attraction for if and when Universal adds more to Marvel Superhero Island, like one or two, what would you choose? Start with Hunter.
Oh, man. The problem is with Marvel, I'm really into kind of like those, kind of more of the darker characters. So, for instance, one of my favorite characters that I'm really into is stuff like Doctor Strange. Mm-hmm. I'm also really into characters kind of like Moon Knight and everything like that. But I'm not exactly sure how we'd get an attraction based on those. What are essentially C or maybe even D-list characters.
You don't think that Universal would offer an attraction like Moon Knight's murder van?
I'm afraid not. No.
But if
they did,
Doctor
there'd be
Strange,
a lot of fire.
Sanctum Sanctorum could be pretty cool.
Kind of like
that would be very cool.
Yeah.
And that actually would be, if you put it towards the end, that could have a dual function as sort of like walking you through the history of the Marvel Universe. If you built just like sort of a little, like funky mystic museum.
I'm kind of seeing the Museum of the Weird. If you've ever seen that concept artwork that Raleigh Crump did back before the Haunted Mansion opened.
I've read the comic.
Awesome.
There you go.
That's actually one of those attractions that it's really sad that never actually came about, but
it really is.
One that I think that they sell a little bit of stuff there, but I think a ride and it would be better for merchandise is Punisher.
Whoa,
I don't see that happening.
For families.
I like Hunter's like Doctor Strange
Punisher,
and Moon Knight, and Rum's like, the guy that murders everybody.
Yeah, based on the beloved tales by Garth Ennis.
And by the way, the Punisher actually does have a murder van.
Punisher Max, the ride.
Well, I'm just saying they sell the
T-shirts
4D
experience.
They do. They sell Punisher T-shirts there. But
they do. But that's just because it's a very iconic emblem. But they don't.
They could have like an old-timey shooting gallery.
Ping! Ping! Yeah. I mean,
you have to hop in the jumpsuit before they let you shoot anything.
No, but I think it would be kind of cool that, like, if you did it right. I mean, they used to have the old Punisher cartoon. If you're looking, if they want to stick in that same.
Wait, there was a Punisher cartoon?
Well, he was always in some cartoons. There's Punisher in the freaking.
What kind of horrible cartoons did you watch as a kid?
Dude, I can remember one specifically, and he showed up, and he was on a motorcycle, and he got off, and it's like, hey, I'm the Punisher. It's one of those things.
That was
anyway,
Dolph Lundgren.
Oh, that was Dolph.
That was the Terminator.
He just looks animated.
But what I'm saying is, he could do something cool with the Punisher that didn't have to result in killing everybody.
Yeah, I guess, like, if they can take Terminator and turn it into, like, a 3D attraction, Punisher.
Yeah, hello. I mean, that's deadly.
But if you notice that attraction's based more on Terminator 2, because the first Terminator is a little closer to a horror movie, whereas Terminator 2, it's like, oh, look, Arnold's, he's like your super cool uncle that'll, like, murder robots for you.
Yeah.
And then die in lava to protect you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean,
Serpent in that movie. I don't know.
I just think a Punisher for a marketing standpoint for selling merchandise, you're looking good there. You're looking good.
All right, well, Fletch, if you have any homicidal characters you'd like to see?
Well, it's kind of borderline. So I don't know how this would work, but I kind of thought about this before. Since, admittedly, I'm a giant Spider-Man fan, as you know. They could work in something with animals for, like, Kraven's Last Hunt.
Ooh.
Actually, it's almost sad that Disney doesn't have at least the ability to use, people playing the characters,
Just Kraven camping out in the middle of Kilimanjaro safaris.
That's what I'm saying.
Sharpening a knife as you drive by.
I mean, I know it's not a zoo, but, sorry. I went with that old chestnut. No, that sounds pretty cool, like, a Kraven. I don't know. Maybe it would end up like Siegfried and Roy,
No.
Someone's going to get eaten by a white tiger?
Yeah.
No, I just think that'd be cool. As you're trying to escape from Kraven kind of thing.
Oh, wait, really, really quick. I was in Las Vegas and looking at that tiger the day before, whichever one died or got eaten, Siegfried.
Wow.
Yeah, just a weird coincidence.
What about this? What
did you tell that tiger?
Yeah, were you a parcel tongue or whatever it is for tigers?
I just made obscene gestures, and there was a lot of gyrating, and I think I got him riled.
That happens, man. I had this epiphany though when it comes to characters and rides. Oh. Yeah, I use the word epiphany.
Oh God.
All right. What if you and this is it's even almost ironic in a way. What if you did a Daredevil 3D attraction that you had to wear special glasses?
Daredevil can't see.
That's the ironic thing.
What he was getting at, I think.
Is it going to be like Sounds Dangerous, where they just put you in a black theater for 15 minutes?
Great name. Sounds Dangerous. Daredevil.
Or they could.
I think putting
actually
blacked out glasses on people and sending them into a room seems.
Well, dangerous. I mean, I think what it would do, because Daredevil technically he's blind, but he can see in a way. He sees in a different way. You know what I'm saying? So what if?
Yeah, that's what I think you're getting at there.
Yeah, it would change your senses up, and you're experiencing this attraction in a different way. And then at the end, when you take your glasses off, how like Spider-Man says, "Hey, put on these glasses." You take these glasses off, and you see the rest of the thing, and like you're a bystander, and you're watching Daredevil kick someone's butt, like Bullseye or somebody.
Or they could show it's blacked out, but you see it as Daredevil sees it, like through the vibrations kind of.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I'd like to see a Dazzler disco stage show.
Oh my goodness.
Cool. We're trying to improve Universal.
And your point is?
Really, dude?
Roller disco bonanza.
Yeah. Honestly, the only thing that pops to mind, even though I asked the question, really is I'm a huge Iron Fist fan. I could see that character certainly with some of the more striking designs that they've come up with, less funny enough disco era designs. I think a lot of kids would really, especially now that the character's in Ultimate Spider-Man, I think a lot of kids would go, be drawn to it, and it's certainly, it's got kung fu. I think that you could build a little coaster or something.
Sure, and Iron Fist 2 was even better movie, but I don't know how Wu-Tang would play into it.
So essentially, I mean, if we all just kind of combine this, we just have a Heroes for Hire attraction, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
There's just so many cool things you can do with that universe. I mean, in Ultron ride, with Ultron as the bad guy, and he's tinkering with the ride as you're going through it.
Oh, cool.
Ooh, I got
it. Really want to see that Galactus Silver Surfer thing, man. I think that would be the ultimate thing for me.
That's certainly, and honestly, you could sort of add in the Fantastic Four to the queue or something like that to sort of
the old Fantastic Four, the new Fantastic Four.
Well, technically, there's no Fantastic Four. Yeah, they got rid of them. They could go the PSA route and combine an attraction with education for kids, and use
don't start forest fires and with Cyclops.
No.
Oh.
Well, first of all, it's force vision. It doesn't cause fires, but
it does.
Yeah, I know these things. I'm a huge Cyclops fan. Suck it. So anyway, no, No, you take Cloak and Dagger and make an attraction around them that teaches kids not to use drugs.
Yeah. I think you gotta keep it a little closer to the mainstream, though. I mean, as much as I'd love to see an Iron Fist or something like that, or a Kraven ride, people would be like, what the heck is this?
Well,
and you could be like, well, you could read all about this character with a book from our shop.
Yeah, I think that kind of thinking really is pretty much gone away, because first of all, most of the Marvel characters aren't that well known. Aside from Spider-Man and the Hulk, most people, and Captain America, obviously.
Pretty much any of the movie characters now. I mean, look at the publicity Ant-Man's got for crying out loud.
That's just silly.
Yeah, Ron, I've heard your Ant-Man rant. We get
Ant-Man.
He shrinks and you don't get it. I got it.
He also gets larger, too.
I know, that's what doesn't make sense.
I pointed that out to him, yes, and it sparked a separate tirade.
Okay. Sorry.
But no, I mean, when you look at the fact that Guardians of the Galaxy was as successful as it is, you could pretty much, you could choose Annihilus at this point and just give him his own, actually, that's a fairly interesting idea. You could have, I guess this sort of falls in with the Silver Surfer concept. You could have, an outer space theme with, Nova.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Nice.
Or the Guardians of the Galaxy ride would be incredible.
And I would open up Groot's Roots Vegan Cafe.
Oh, no.
You want people to eat
Groot's Roots Vegan Cafe.
The whole menu just says, I am Groot, over and over again.
Just with varying prices, you don't know what you're going to get.
You know why I love you, Rome? Because you just came up with an idea more horrifying to children than a homicidal maniac with machine guns.
Everything served on a popsicle stick.
That's it.
That would be amazing.
People love things.
Sorry, I ordered the I am Groot, and I seem to have gotten the I am Groot.
With onions.
And I specifically said no onions on my Groot.
Server, I think my Groot's still alive. Can you...
Does my Groot smell funny? I think it
There's
does.
a fly in my Groot.
When I touch my Groot, it tickles. Wait,
Stop
I'm sorry.
playing with your Groot.
That's not on the menu.
We can do a Western themed Groot, maybe.
Okay, Corral.
We call it the Groot Scoot and Boot.
Oh, man.
I appreciate you laughing at that because it was terrible.
I thought it was good.
It was pretty good.
It was good.
Wow. Anybody else got any...
Fish Cafe. That'd be great.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, let's come up with more horrifying.
Why aren't they paying us?
I don't know. This is gold right here.
We're going to receive a nice royalty check in a couple weeks.
I'll take a free ticket and a corn dog. I don't care.
Yeah, give me a free pass.
Something.
I'll give you all the ideas you want.
Well, I've openly made the challenge to Universal Studios that, we try to talk about Disney and Universal equally on here, but we'll happily sell out to Universal if they want to, give us a lifetime pass or hire us, whatever. We'll be your stooges. We'll put out whatever propaganda you want.
No, I'll test.
No, because I'm a whore.
Yeah, he is. He is.
I'm just waiting for Universal Studios to be my daddy. That's all.
I think we all the general consensus is we all love Universal, but it could be a lot better.
Right. But the good news is that they are, now that they were bought, they are pumping more money into it, but there are logistical problems like people make the comparison between Disney and Universal's building schedule, but Disney is always juggling like 4 or 5 things, and now Universal's just starting. I mean, Volcano Bay is a major construction. Then they have Sapphire Falls, and then they're currently building Skull Island as well, which, as I pointed out several times, looks like Castle Grayskull.
Mm-hmm. So, it really does.
And look, somebody needs to put like a He-Man figure as like a little bit of lanyard.
I think I need to show up on opening day dressed as Skeletor.
just really angry.
So just how you dress normally throughout the day.
Exactly. I've got the purple stretch. I got that going on.
I've seen the furry underwear. It's horrifying.
Yeah, it is. But it's warm in the winter. It makes me feel good. And I rock it.
I think we might have to end this podcast. And I think the episode's actually
We're
called.
just getting started.
Well, if anybody has anything, any other subjects that they'd like to talk about, that's cool too. So we're entering it there, yeah. Like I said.
No, my biggest thing is if you go to Universal and then go to Disney right after, it's such a night and day difference.
Well, and that's what I think. What I liked about when I go down to Orlando, I try to do both parks every time, because I like them in different ways.
Exactly.
You always drive though, and that's usually the factor I think for a lot of people is transportation, because it is not a cheap cab ride from Disney to Universal, and
people need to grow up here.
Well, you can also ride the buses, but that's its own nightmare.
Well, anyway, but I do. I love Universal Studios. Been a fan since opening day. And Islands of Adventure, think they're both great parks, and I look forward to seeing what Universal does here in the upcoming future with all their new ideas and everything. And I'm really looking forward to Volcano Bay. And when it comes to Disney, I mean, I want to be pleasantly surprised with Avatar World. I hope I already know I'm going to be disappointed, but whatever. But I just really feel that Universal is a great park, and if you've never been, you need to go. It's a good time. It's a great way to spend the day or even 2 days.
Look, it's worth it just for Harry Potter alone.
Well, it is, but to me it was worth it before even Harry Potter showed up. It was.
I agree, but I'm just saying, like, if there's a lot of people who have like stigmas, whether it's against Disney or against Universal, and if you're stigmas against Universal, there are people now that are sort of going like, oh, well, Harry Potter's over there, so maybe I'll think about it,
Yeah, no, they're just amazing, and it always fascinates me the detail that goes into everything that both of those places do. And Universal is great for that.
And I'm very excited for what they're building now. Like, I think, certainly Wizarding World was a major feat, but once Diagon Alley showed, like, this next level, all-encompassing immersion, like, I think that says a lot for what's going to have to happen for theme parks across the board. And supposedly Disney, the Imagineers went to Diagon Alley on opening week and demanded more money for Avatar Land because they didn't think they could do good enough with what they had. So,
well, problem being is they started with Avatar Land.
Look, I don't disagree, but like Fletch and I have had this discussion. I don't know how Hunter feels about it, but just like I say about Batman versus Superman, it ain't for me. I'm not going to complain about it anymore. It just is what it is.
And that's why we love Disney and Universal.
I mean, we're all still going to go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be there anyway, so might as well check it out.
I don't know. If I see something that impresses me, because they haven't announced really anything that's going into Avatar Land yet.
Avatars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to create yourself as an avatar.
You're going to be able to molest a giant flying dragon thing.
Neat.
What movie were you watching?
For my Disney experiences.
What movie were you watching?
Isn't that part of the movie? They plug themselves into the flying things.
His battery was low.
That's so they could connect. They could connect with it. They weren't molesting.
You know what? Did the things talk back? You don't know. You don't know what it was experiencing.
Oh, jeez.
That's all right. So I'm Adam, and I represent Radio DCP. Hunter, to find him, you can go on. I don't know the website offhand, so if you'd like to.
Just usually the easiest way to keep up to date with us is on Facebook, which is the Unofficial Universal Orlando Podcast.
Awesome.
You can find me there, where we do a show once every week. So come check it out.
Except you can't find them there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame.
Are y'all on Stitcher?
We are on Stitcher. We're on Stitcher. We're on Podkicker. We're on iTunes. We're on Windows Store. We're on everything.
Right on.
Cool.
Fletch, would you like to tell the people where to find you?
You can find me at BSA Comics every Wednesday, and whenever Adam posts an episode for us. When do you usually put them up?
When I get the chance, frankly.
We're very consistent. There is an episode every week. It's just,
well, since Fletch is being snarky, if Fletch would like to edit the episodes...
I wasn't being snarky. I was being serious. I was just saying it might be a Thursday, it might be a Friday. That's all.
It's a surprise. You never know.
See, I'm not hearing any lack of snark.
There's no snark. I'm
even
trying to be informative.
Even that. Just saying.
Oh man.
So.
And I'm representing the MHOG podcast, Metal Hand of God, and you can find us pretty much everywhere too. Website, MHOGpodcast.com, Stitcher, you name it, we're there. Just type us in. And definitely check out everybody's podcast and go to the freaking parks. What else are you doing?
Says the guy who hasn't been there in 2 years.
Year. I've been there within a year.
Look, man, it's
right, I'm forgetting when we were in Orlando at the same time and you couldn't be bothered to call instead. Yeah, I'm on a conference. I know where you were. I know where you were. I stalked your phone. I can do it.
You did.
And that's why we do it.